Wait, is the...
Okay, there we go. Hello, everyone. This is Austin from Raw Bliss. Today, I'm going to have Shane Sterling. I'm going to be interviewing him. And Shane is 4 years raw, 17 years vegan. I believe he's 48 years old. You can find him at Raw Vegan Rising on Instagram if you want to check him out. And yeah, the guy looks really fit. And we're just going to talk about how he got started, who inspired him, what type of diet he eats, like how much fat percent, how much, fruit, obviously. Does he eat nuts and seeds? He talks a lot about juice fasting on his Instagram. So I'm going to ask him about that, power of fasting and stuff, and advice for people going raw, last time he ate cooked food, stuff like that. So yeah, I'll get back to you guys when Shane joins in. All right, everyone. I'm here with Shane Sterling. He is a 17-year vegan, 4 years raw, and 48 years old. Is that right?
48 years old.
Man, you look like you're like in your late 20s or something.
I get that all the time. People think I'm late 20s, early 30s. Yeah.
Yeah. So
raw food has taken years off for sure. Just in the last 4 years of being raw, I definitely look younger than I did 4 years ago.
Yeah, anti-aging, exactly. And who inspired you like to get into raw, or did you have any like underlying health conditions?
Well, for one, thanks for having me on. I'm always happy to talk about raw food. It's changed my life, absolutely changed my life. It's been instrumental in becoming everything I ever wanted to be in life. I just think that when we have discipline around our diet, it opens the pathways to everything else we want to create in life. Diet is so fundamental. It's what we put in our temple. So if we're going to talk about being successful in life in any arena, we got to talk about what we're putting in our body. So I always like to say that. What really got me started was, I like to lift weights, and I was following this normal, the normal science that says you got to eat meat to put on muscle and you got to drink whey protein. And so I've been vegan for 17 years. I mean, so many years of my life. Even when I'm not vegan, I'm really mostly vegan. So I've been mostly vegan for 31 years. I don't like meat. I don't like animal products. I never have since I was a kid. And so I pretty much try to avoid them. But at a certain point, it was kind of a dark night of the soul. I said, well, I want to put on some muscle. I'm going to do this traditional way. And I started eating animal products, eggs, chicken, and whey protein. I got so sick. It messed me up bad. And I started getting chronic dandruff, tendonitis in my elbows and shoulders, inflammation in my body. My gut was off. So I said, all right, I got to heal this. That was one of the health catalysts that brought me back to raw food. I had so many years of being a vegan under my belt that I said, I can't just go back to plant-based. I can't just go back to like veggie burgers here. I'm going on a healing journey. So I decided to go 100% raw. I'd been interested in raw food for a lot of years though. I had attempted fully raw stretches of my life all the way back to my early 30s. For about 15 years, I had been called on the journey, so I was really familiar with the idea of raw food. So when I decided to go 100% raw, it was like the final straw. It was like, this animal product business does not work. Cooked grains and starches do not work. This is what heals my body now is what sustains my body. It allows my body to continue to detox, continue to be vibrant, continue to be connected and on point. So it just opens the pathway to like who I'm supposed to be, my destiny. I started coaching people after I went raw. Like right away, people started asking me questions, and I started being a coach and, charging money for sessions. And it led to a bigger coaching packages I was selling. And then it led to my membership. And now I have a huge thriving community membership that people join to get coaching and mentorship from me, to be around other like-minded people. And it's one thing that I think is essential. If we're interested in going raw, we got to be around other people. that are raw vegan. Our society does not support this idea of eating raw food. We're still in the dark ages thinking that we got to eat all this cooked food, cooked animal products, which just is so toxic. It's such a different paradigm. If we're going to switch paradigms, we got to be around other like-minded people. That's what I realized. So I started my community to be my own accountability.
100%.
And so that has really set me on a path of success as a raw vegan. That's why I'm 4 years and just getting started. This is just the beginning for me. So it's pretty exciting because I have the best health in my life. I'm 48 years old. It took 10 years off when I went raw. People think I'm always younger. I work out. My muscle mass is pretty good. I have a great body composition overall for raw vegan. I've been doing this vegan thing a lot of years. So I know I'm like 100 and probably 75 pounds, pretty lean. Mm-hmm. So, and 6'2", for people who are wondering. And that's pretty cool. I'm able to sustain that on raw food and it feels amazing. Recovery, exercise is just through the roof as a raw vegan. Can't even compare to animal products, the meat diet to be strong and healthy and masculine. That is an outdated paradigm that just is based in fear. It's based in some old modality. Men in today's age really need to face their fears and get over this hyper masculine dominator culture, right. And men have to face their fears to get over that dominator culture. And when we do that, we can be vegan, we can be plant-based and masculine and strong and alpha males, meaning alpha not loud and dominant and aggressive, but alpha as a male who comes in, whips through a room, makes sure everybody's taken care of, every system is working and nobody even knows they're there. The alpha male is the male that takes care of business behind the scenes and makes sure everybody's taken care of. That's a real alpha male. And that is as a raw vegan at the highest level.
Yeah. So let me go back for a minute. So who or where did you first hear about raw, or who inspired you?
The first time raw food ever came across my awareness, I was walking down the street and this hippie van pulled up next to me on the street. And it was obviously a guy who was traveling, living in his van. And he pulls out, I think it was in a parking lot, and he pulls out and he walks up to me and he tosses me this book. And the book was the Essene Gospel of Peace.
Oh, wow.
And I hadn't heard of the Essene Gospel of Peace. I think it was about 30 years old. And I'd been vegan for many years, but I looked at that and I was like, wow, the Essene Gospel of Peace, what is this? It looked pretty cool. It had that Gustave Doré engraving on the cover, and I was a big Gustave Doré fan. So I was like, I'm going to read this. It's probably a sign I need to pay attention to what's in this book. I read that book cover to cover and multiple times. So the message in the Essene Gospel of Peace was really inspiring. It really called to my soul. Yeah. It wasn't just words on a page. I don't care if that is Jesus's real words or whatever, because the Essenes, the message of the Essenes is undenatured food, right, to clean the bowels out, detoxification, enemas, keeping the bowels clean, fast bowel transit time, undenatured food. And when I got that message, I was like, bing, the light bulb went off. And it was a daunting idea at that time, being 30 years old, to go fully raw. But I think I tried a week raw, and I did the traditional, I ate kale, I was literally eating raw kale leaves, and I didn't even have the slightest idea how to even be a raw vegan. Okay. I didn't think to eat fruit for some reason. I thought raw vegans had to eat lettuce and stuff. So it took me 15 years of experimentation, letting it kind of assimilate into my being, that raw was my path. I felt the calling. I knew I needed to be raw, and I just didn't know how, and it was intimidating. So it was a long journey for me to finally feel ready. And to be honest, what really made me feel ready was claiming my self-worth and facing my fears as a man. I said, enough is enough. I'm not going to play small in the world anymore. I'm here for a reason and for a mission. And I had the health problems was one of the catalysts, healing my skin inflammation and my chronic dandruff. And the combination of that and saying, I am going to face my fears as a man once and for all. I'm going to step up as a leader. I'm going to develop my voice, even though it scares the crap out of me, to like put myself out there and be visible and share my story and create YouTube videos and social media content. And I decided I was going to do it. I was going to go raw. I was going to detox and become the person I'd always wanted to be, all in one.
Yes.
That happened 4 years ago when I was 44 years old. So kind of a late bloomer, I will admit. Wish I had done it sooner. But there's divine timing to things.
Right.
And that was the divine timing for me. When the threshold presented itself, the threshold of fear, like, am I going to walk through this threshold of fear? Am I going to face my fears as a man, or am I going to play small? Or am I going to, believe in the old paradigm systems? Am I going to uphold the old belief, or am I going to step through and help create the new belief? And that moment was powerful. And I said, yes. I said, I'm in. I don't know how to do this. I'm flawed. I'm not perfect. I don't have no clue how to do this, but I say yes to the journey.
Yeah, you don't have to know the how, you just got to know the why, right?
That's what I say all the time. I have it up right here on my shelf behind my desk here. It says, hold the vision, not the circumstance.
Oh, I like that.
Vision, right? The vision is what carries us through, and the details of how are never, ever relevant. If we're going to build a big business or be successful in life in any way, we do it with our vision. If you want to be a raw vegan, we don't need recipes and meal plans. We need the vision of how to be raw vegan, that we're going to be raw vegan.
And the universe will provide the how,
It does every single time. Yeah. And this is what I help teach people is that the power of our vision. And I often talk about it in my YouTube videos about, the basics of going raw vegan. Hold the vision, people, hold the vision.
That's number one for sure.
Yeah, it really is huge.
So who else or what else, I guess, inspired you along this this raw vegan path?
Well, to be honest, I was a new father. Well, my kids are 10 and 12 now, but I was, I had young kids and I wanted to be an inspiring person for my children, to be honest. I didn't want to be someone who just did the average road. I have not asked my children to be raw vegan. It's not that I'm asking them to do what I do. It's that I want to step into the highest potential of my life. I want to be really authentic to myself, so much so that it could mean dismantling systems around me. Like, I really have never fit in with the status quo, the military industrial complex, the systems of oppression and control in governments around the world. I don't like any of that stuff. So for me, it's like taking on the healing of that myself internally. Like, if I can really heal my own soul, if I can really face my own fears, I'm doing enough. That's good enough. And then all these systems of oppression on the planet, the evil that happens on this planet that's so despairing and could be scary, it almost like it like disappears like a phantom, because I know I'm doing my best. And I wanted to be that example for my children. And that was a big motivator. Having young children was a big part. And back to your question, I know it seems like, well, was there raw vegan mentors that you looked up to, someone that was a raw vegan in your life? And no, when I went raw vegan, I didn't have a single mentor in my life. It was only after I decided to be 100% raw that I started looking up YouTubers and researching, well, who else is raw? What's going on in the raw vegan community? And found people that were inspiring to watch and learn from.
Yeah.
But there was no one who was instrumental in me going raw vegan. It was like, my mom was raw for a couple months back when I was a kid. It was the 70s. She was kind of like into health. And I think she did a raw vegan thing back for a couple months when I was a kid. Maybe that rubbed off on me.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, the Essene Gospel of Peace was the number one catalyst.
Yeah.
Being a new dad and saying, look, I'm not going to play small anymore. I got to get my stuff together here and make a difference in the world. And it was just like those things coming together.
Okay. And how long was it, or I guess, how did you figure out, like, what's the ideal Like, you weren't eating fruits at first, you were eating lettuce. Like, when did you figure out like how to eat properly?
So there was a before and after moment where I just turned off the cooked food. I wasn't going to eat it. And so what was left? Well, I had to figure it out. So the first couple months I was raw vegan, I just would eat whatever I could. I'd make big salads, with fruits and nuts and raisins and make them high calorie. I would eat fruit, sit down and eat like a melon or two at a time. And it just was what made sense. I was like, well, I got to get calories in. I don't want to be hungry. And so I just started eating raw food. I took cooked food off the table, and that's how I figured it out. I literally just figured it out because I had to. And then after a couple months, I started to detox, to be honest.
Yeah.
Detox set in, started to feel like crap. And then I started to realize that I needed to assist my body with detoxification. So at that point, I did a 40-day juice fast, completely cleaned out my gut with green juices and fruit juices pretty aggressively, like detox style, used bentonite clay, psyllium husk, real bowel detox enemas. And I did that for 40 days and then went back to 100% raw. And it was a big journey then to rebuild my gut after that detox and to stay 100% raw. And it took me like a year, to really get my gut good, get my digestion good. Most people would have turned back a long time before I did. Most people would say, I'm losing weight, my hair's falling out, my teeth are sensitive, I've got dark circles under my eyes, I feel like crap, I have no energy, I can't digest anything, I have gas and bloating. I was a mess. I was literally a mess. Most people would have said a raw vegan diet does not work, but I knew that I was just detoxing. I don't know. I had the vision. I was focused on being raw. And so it didn't matter if I was detoxing. It didn't matter if I couldn't digest the food. I was going to stick with it. So that's what I did. After about a year, my digestion started to come online, get, on point. I was able to start to really digest the raw foods well. And that's when I think it was about the 10-month mark. I made a YouTube video about it. Actually, I remember it, where I said, I'm experiencing a turning point. I feel so good right now. And it was like a before and after. It was like I was struggling, detoxing. And then all of a sudden I tipped into, wow, this feels amazing. Raw vegan is like turning me on. I'm lit up. I feel good. I've got energy. I feel so good on the foods I'm eating. I can eat less and get more energy. And it was really cool. That was when I realized, wow, this is going to work. And that was about the 10-month mark. So I'm like, I'm all in. Amazing. So for me, at the 4-year mark now, like I said, I'm just beginning, I don't see any reason to go back to cooked food. There's no advantage for me. I'll have a bite of cooked food here and there, but it just doesn't give me what the raw foods do. And it doesn't feel as good. It doesn't give me the energy, the clarity. So I just don't stick with the cooked foods anymore.
Yeah. And I want to go back to the juicing for a minute, because I've done quite a bit of juice fasting too, especially in my first years raw, which like made the transition a lot easier, I would say, because you're just smashing in all the nutrients. You're just flooding your body with alkalinity. It's amazing. So like where did you hear about juicing? Like, how did you know this was a thing to do?
Yeah. Well, I think that I had always known about juice fasting. I mean, I grew up in the 70s, I'm 48. So, in the 70s and 80s, there was like juicing people, Jack LaLanne and Paul Bragg and stuff. Guys were around in the 70s. So, and my mom was kind of into juicing. So my mom would make me green juice when I was a kid and carrot juice. So I was exposed to juicing. And then in my teens and 20s, I was making juice at home in my first apartment I remember ever. I brought my juicer with me. I had this juicer and I would make parsley shots and I'd get like buzzed on parsley shots,
Wow.
I was like 20 years old, 19 years old doing that. I'd never did a juice fast at that point, but I think I was just aware of the power of juicing to detoxify our bodies, clean our guts out. And it was the Essene Gospel of Peace that was talking about cleaning the gut out, cleaning the
Right.
bowels out, making sure the bowels are really free of waste and parasites. And I think I started to, the first time I read A Seen Gospel of Peace, I did my first juice fast where I went probably a week, maybe on just juices in an attempt to, cleanse. I was inspired. But then when I really needed to, when I was detoxing on raw food, that's when I just said, okay, I'm just going to juice. I can't digest this food. It's like, it was too much, and I was
Right.
not feeling good. So I was like, well, if I stop eating and I just juice, I'm going to, help this process. And so it just came to me. It wasn't until afterwards that I started to research and watch YouTube videos about juice fasting. And I think that's when I found John Rose on
Yes.
YouTube, talking about juice fasting, was after I had already done a 40-day juice fast. So I feel like I've been guided to this lifestyle, my whole life. Everything that from my teenage years, going vegan early at 17 to being exposed to juicing early, has all led me. It's like my divine destiny to be a raw vegan. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. And what would you say to someone who wants to do a juice fast?
Juice fasting is incredibly powerful, but it's important to get the right support so you make the most out of your juice fast. Because a lot of people will juice fast and think, well, let me just drink watermelon juice. There's a lot of information that says you should just juice fast on fruits. In my opinion, there's only one reason to juice fast. Juicing is good. We can have green juice and make fruit juices. That's fine for nutritional sake, but for cleaning out the gut, we only need to do juice fasting really to support detoxification and elimination. So what I always say is juice fasting is a temporary intervention protocol to help us transition to a raw vegan diet.
Yes.
We clean out the gut one time thoroughly. If we follow the right protocol, we can get it done as quickly as possible and then get back to eating solid food. I always tell my clients, everyone I work with, we don't heal from juice fasting. If we have health problems, if we're coming to raw food to heal inflammation or chronic illness or degenerative diseases, juice fasting doesn't do the healing. Juice fasting starts the process of opening up the channels of elimination.
Right.
What heals us is consistent time on raw food. Raw foods is what heals us. Our gut has to be healthy and strong and robust for true healing to take place. That can't happen when we're juice fasting. Juice fasting is, again, a temporary intervention to eliminate biofilms, mucoid plaque, waste, buildup that is interfering with absorption and utilization of our food. If we're going to go raw vegan and be vitally healthy on raw foods, we've got to make darn sure that our GI tract is clean so that we can utilize the raw foods properly. Because down the road, we might have questions. Am I deficient? If we're going through big detoxes and it's quite a roller coaster for the first year or two on raw food, we want to remove the variable that absorption is an issue. And so for that, we need to remove the biofilms and the mucoid plaque and all the waste out of the GI tract. So to do that level of detox with juice fasting and that protocol, we need support. My group, Raw Vegan Heroes, which is my group coaching program, is absolutely the best juice fasting support I've ever experienced, possibly the best on the planet. Right now, there's 270 members today as the making of this video.
Wow.
It's growing fast. There's always people coming into the group for this process of juice fasting. I have a protocol that I've outlined and designed over the years of helping people. It was the protocol that I used myself to get all of the biofilms and waste out of my GI tract in under 40 days. And so I help people do this. I've watched hundreds of people follow my protocol and it works. It gets the waste out of the GI tract very quickly. So instead of just going at a 7-day juice fast with watermelon juice, it's not going to work. We need to have guidance and a specific protocol. For one, my protocol is free to download on my website. So if you go to rawveganrising.com, on the homepage, my protocol is an instant download for anybody who wants it. That's just a PDF guide outline of the protocol. Then to make sure we're going to get the most out of our effort, then I recommend people join a community like Raw Vegan Heroes for that accountability, camaraderie, being around others who are doing it. That way, when we are at the edge of our reality and we're hallucinating from detox symptoms and the phantoms of our fears are coming up, and our ego is trying to talk us down from our next level of thriving and breakthrough, then we can have that reflected back. No, keep going. You're in the weeds here. Keep going. Don't give up. You're so close. We need that level of feedback. So that's what I've devised over the years. And so the number one thing to get the most out of a juice fast is to have a support community around you to make sure you get the most out of it.
The motivation.
And the motivation. And juice fasting, to do it properly, like a 40-day juice fast, is going to be a lot of produce. It should be organic produce. And you need the right juicer. You got to invest in a slow masticating juicer. And this is all outlined in my free PDF protocol on my website, by the way.
Yep.
And so what juicer to use, how much produce you're going to need, what the recipes are, and to do a proper juice fast, really with high quality organic produce to do this, it's going to be $1,000 to $1,500 anyway to invest.
But you're worth it.
Right. So this is cheap health insurance. I mean, people are paying $1,500 a month for insulin shots for their diabetes when they just need to do a juice fast. I have a woman in my group right now who has reversed type 2 diabetes. She's 82 years old. Type 2 diabetes for, 10 or 20 years of her life, she's had it. She completely reversed it. In 30 days, juice fasting and coming back onto raw food, her her blood sugar is completely normalized. She doesn't have to take insulin anymore. 30 days. And she wrote a testimonial post in the community, Raw Vegan Heroes, sharing her experience with everybody. It was mind-blowing. I took a screenshot and shared it on my Instagram. But that's the power of juice fasting to just kickstart. Now, she doesn't want to juice fast forever. She's 82. She needs to get back onto solid food as quickly as possible. But it's a restart for the system. Take out the fats, take out all the waste in the GI tract, gives her body a chance to just regenerate. Type 2 gone. So my group, Raw Vegan Heroes, is only $14.99 a month for that. So if you're going to spend $1,000 on a juice fast, it's like a no-brainer to just have a month of support in my group,
Yeah, and I'll put a link in the description to your website.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. Yeah. And this is my service that I do for people because I'm so committed to making a difference for people. It's literally just how I know I can help people overcome degenerative disease and get out of this old paradigm of thinking and have breakthroughs in their life. So for me, it's like community makes the difference. It's so powerful to have community around us.
Absolutely. And what's your go-to like juice recipe? What's your favorite?
The lemon ginger blast by far, which is coined by Lou Corona, who's a long-term raw vegan, like 45-year raw vegan. He coined the term lemon ginger blast, which is essentially a green juice. And it's got lemon and ginger, of course. It's got parsley and cilantro. It's got cucumber and apple and celery. And you can add habanero pepper. Which I personally love. Oh God, the habanero is so good. And mint, you can add mint. I make them strong, man. When I make my lemon ginger blast, they are like spicy and just so intense. But I make like one a day,
Yeah, that is like, he's like 70 years old. That guy looks incredible.
Yeah, he looks like he's like 40, and he's like 70.
And he's like walking on his hands and stuff. He's like doing all this stuff.
And he's a high fat raw vegan too. He's not a low fat fruitarian type raw vegan, which has been inspiring to me to like see how some people do low fat, some people do high fat, and how that plays into the long-term sustainability of a raw vegan diet, not just cleansing, because like 99% of people come to a raw vegan diet to heal a health problem.
Right.
And what we need to heal is low fat raw vegan, like high fruit, 80-10-10, Doug Graham style, 80-10-10 works for healing. It's how I healed my eczema and dermatitis and joint inflammation.
Right.
But if we're going to sustain a raw vegan long term, like 4 years and beyond, I'm at 4 years, I can't be low fat at this stage. I work out. I mean, if I'm going to be strong, I need the nuts and seeds for protein. I need the nuts and seeds for fat. I put a lot of flax and hemp and chia seeds in my smoothies for omega-3s. So, you know, I hear people like Dr. Gabriel Cousens talking about the importance of omega-3s
Right.
in the diet for vegans, especially. Like if we're going to be plant-based, we need more omega-3s than normal, you know, and so I've adopted that and it has worked for me. So I eat a lot of omega-3s and not a lot of fat, but at least 20% of my calories come from fat, probably.
Okay, great. Yeah, I like to stay around 15 to 20% overall as well. I think that's like
Great. Yeah, 15 to
a good spot.
20% is in the pocket for sure. I don't probably have a lot of days where I go higher than 20%. Once in a while, maybe I will, but generally it's probably right around the 20%. And it just makes such a huge difference for me for satiation, making sure that I just have the balance of macros that I need. And I tend to think like 60-20-20 is more what I'm after. I like higher protein with greens and superfoods. You know, even dates are like two grams of protein per like nice big medjool dates. I mean, I eat a lot of dates. I mean, I can get like 10 grams of protein a day from dates without even trying.
Exactly.
Know? So if you just think about it properly, you can craft a raw vegan diet to be very high in protein, which will suit all of our needs. And you know what the amazing benefit of that is that if you're raw instead of cooked, your GI tract is going to be so clean that you'll be able to utilize that protein even better than if you're a cooked, like animal product style, you know, protein person. And if you're trying to build muscle and be strong and be confident, which a lot of, let's face it, guys want to be muscular and strong and feel good in their body. And we need protein to build muscle. We do, but raw protein is so where it's at is amazing. Right. You know, spirulina too. I'm a big fan of chlorella and spirulina.
Oh yeah, I love spirulina. And I think that it's really important because a lot of people come into this, like you said, like the 80-10-10 type of diet to heal. And they can't handle fats at first because their gut's not used to it.
Yeah.
But like once they do like a juice fast, for example, it helps cleanse the liver so that they can utilize these fats better afterwards. Right?
That's exactly correct. Yes. We need the reset to rebuild. And the rebuilding process can take quite a long time. And in my opinion, and what I coach people on regularly is a secondary transition. We got to, if we're coming to a raw vegan diet to heal, which again, 99% of people do, desperation or inspiration, that's what I always say. We come to raw vegan out of desperation or inspiration.
Right.
Most of the time it's desperation. Yeah. And so we transition to raw food. We've got to just adjust to eating high amounts of fruit, high amounts of fiber, greens, high water content foods. But then a secondary transition has to happen, which is where we adjust to a higher fat content, eating nuts and seeds, you know, figuring out how to eat higher amounts of flax and chia and hemp for omega-3s. And I eat all the nuts and seeds, you know, pumpkin is great. I love pumpkin and Brazil nuts and macadamia nuts. I try to get in all the nuts and seeds in my diet. And that took me a serious second transition. It was almost like having to relearn how to be a raw vegan from the beginning.
Right.
It was not easy to digest nuts and seeds coming from low fat, high carb, 80-10-10 style.
Yeah.
I felt like I was doing something wrong. It felt like it was draining my energy. My digestion was off again. I was like, what? I've already gone through this. What's going on? And so a person could make the mistake of thinking we're not supposed to eat fats, not supposed to eat nuts and seeds because of how difficult the transition can be. But if you stick to it and you get yourself up to 20% of your calories from fats, like you said you are and I am, then now we can really talk about thriving and sustainability long term.
Definitely. And so let's go into like, what's a day in the life look like? Like, what do you eat typically?
I always start my day with a smoothie, big fat smoothie, because I work out in the mornings. You know, I like to work out, got some, you know, muscle on my frame. And to maintain that muscle, to build muscle, to fuel my workouts, I eat calories in the morning. So I do like
Yes.
1,000-calorie smoothies. Bananas and dates are always the base. I'll do either a green smoothie or a cacao smoothie or a vanilla style smoothie. I don't know. I do different flavors and seasonings and spices and stuff and make them taste good. But I will always add superfoods. Like I'll do maca root and ashwagandha for male support. I love herbs like that, but I always make sure I'm getting in the calories I need, so that's the thing. I usually drink about 64 ounces of smoothie each morning before my workout. So, and then I go exercise. I bust my ass in the gym because it makes me feel good. I'm 48 years old. It's like you use it or lose it,
Right.
When I was younger, I didn't work out so much, but now it's so important that I exercise and I lift weights. I strength train, I squat, I bench press, I overhead press, I do deadlifts and rows because I need to feel strong and confident in my body. So that's a really effective way for me to do that. Also, it really makes my skin good and my digestion good when I work out. So it's good for health. It really is. After my workout, I will have a fruit mono meal.
Okay.
Usually pineapple or melon or something. I'll eat just a pretty good amount of fruit, maybe another 600 calories, maybe sometimes 1,000 calories again on fruit after my workout. And then I'll have salad for dinner usually. So that's my general, and I'll do juices too, like I'll have a green juice and a fruit mono meal after my workout. So it's basically the same every day. It's not very complicated for me. I start my day with a smoothie. I have fruit and juices for lunch and a big salad with greens and nuts and seeds in the evening. And I do save the bulk of my fat intake for the evening. I do have nuts and seeds in my smoothie, or seeds in my smoothie, like flax and chia and hemp seeds in the morning, but it's blended. And then if I'm going to eat just like soaked or whole nuts and seeds, it's always at night in my salad.
Okay. And do you think it's important to soak and sprout nuts and seeds?
Yeah, I think it's good. I love soaked seeds, specifically soaked pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds on salad are like my favorite. So I always do that. But I've gotten to the point now where my digestion is really strong as a raw vegan, and I can eat unsoaked nuts and seeds if I want to. I'll make trail mix with just, plain nuts and seeds unsoaked, and I never have a problem digesting it. So I've kind of gotten to the point where I can, if I want to, take the time, or if I like the texture, which I do, but I don't have to. So it's really just a preference, and I do both. I will eat handfuls of like homemade trail mix, and I will also soak and sprout not only nuts and seeds, but legumes. I will do lentil sprouts. Those are one of my favorites. Sprouted chickpeas. I make raw hummus all the time. So the legumes, I don't do a lot of legumes, but I definitely have sprouted legumes in my diet for sure, regularly.
Yeah, those are really good. Okay, I have a quote on your Instagram. You said, "Make hunger your friend." Can you tell me what that means?
Yeah, I mean, look, people are so darn afraid of being hungry that they will avoid it at all costs. And hunger is one of the keys to being youthful and anti-aging. That we don't want to always be filled up on heavy digesting, slow digesting foods. When we first go raw, the first thing anyone, or even vegan, the first thing we notice coming from a standard American diet with, meats and dairy products and all this stuff, to a whole food plant-based diet, whether high raw, all raw, or mostly cooked, we're going to feel hungry. That's the first thing we're going to notice. That is your friend. Hunger, a plant-based diet, hunger is leading you down the path of youthfulness and vitality and energy for the rest of your life. And hunger is a part of it. So we've got to make friends with being hungry to get past it to where we're not hungry anymore. Like, I don't have to be hungry if I don't want to be, but I often will intermittent fast. I've spent decades of my life doing intermittent fasting, and I think it's contributed to me looking younger, to be honest. Intermittent fasting, I probably spent a couple decades, 20 years, eating like 1 or 2 meals a day, all through my 30s, 20s and 30s. I was doing that. Sometimes because I was broke and I didn't have enough
Yeah.
money to eat all day, you know? But nonetheless, intermittent fasting is just a powerful tool for health. It makes us lean, it makes us feel good, it makes our body work better, it produces stem cells, it produces regenerative effects, good for our hormones. So, what's intermittent fasting? The initial process is feeling hungry, but if we just stick with it enough, the hunger goes away and gives way to like more energy. The same for a raw vegan diet. We eat raw foods, we might feel hungry, but if we stick with it, it's going to give way to a whole breakthrough of lifestyle where we actually have more freedom, more health, more energy, more vitality. So if we stay afraid of feeling hungry and if we kind of avoid hunger like it's the devil or something, you know, which seems to be the case in our society, then we're never going to get that breakthrough. And so it's important. And a lot of people talk about it, you know, intermittent fasting, water fasting, juice fasting, all key components of health and regeneration. And yeah, when you're not eating, you're going to feel hungry for a period of time until you get your breakthrough. So
Definitely. Do you have, because I don't have any experience personally, but do you have any experience with water fasting?
I've done 2 water fasts in my life, only 7 days each.
Okay.
That's my only experience with water fasting.
Hmm.
And for me personally, I felt called to a raw vegan diet, eating whole foods sustainably long term, which is still very detoxifying. I never got caught up in fasting as like a way of life or something to be doing all the time.
Right.
I think a raw vegan diet is a very detoxifying lifestyle as it is. If we do too much fasting, it could be counterintuitive. It could knock us off track and make things harder for ourselves. So I really always say, especially with juice fasting, I say it's a temporary intervention. It's not a diet, it's not a lifestyle, it's not an ongoing thing. And definitely the same goes for water fasting. I've watched so many interviews on YouTube of people who do a water fast a month or a water fast a year. I mean, there's people that dedicate their life's work to assisting with water fasting, which is great. Water fasting is powerful, but I'm personally not called to water fast on deep levels, like, you know, 30 days on water or whatnot. I have not been called to it,
So,
but I
so
have
I'm
been a
just,
successful raw
I,
vegan for 4 years.
right, right. I'm just curious your experience on 7 days, because I've never even gone 7 days. So what was it like for you?
Well, my first water fast I ever did kicked my butt. It was hard and I started to detox pretty intensely. My kidneys started to hurt. I was getting like lower back pain right on my kidneys, which
Right.
indicates detoxing of the kidneys. And it was pretty uncomfortable. And I started to get like real cold and flu-like symptoms. And that was when I said, okay, I got to probably figure out a more gentle detoxification approach. And
Right.
then I did my 40-day water fast. I went raw vegan, then did a 40-day juice fast, excuse me.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I did another water fast after I had gone through that. And my second week-long water fast, I had no detox symptoms. I felt like my 40-day juice fast had really kickstarted my elimination system. So my kidneys did not hurt on my second water fast. But it's very hard. Your body switches into ketosis and you're burning fat and you're like really kind of slow. Everything's in slow motion.
Yeah.
And I like carbs, man. Juice fasting is so amazing because you
Yes.
feel high on life. You feel energized. And I don't know, there were moments during my 40-day juice fast where I was drinking like watermelon juice or something and just going, I feel so high right now, like tingly, buzzing, like sparkles around the edges.
Yeah.
Never experienced anything remotely like that on water fasting. For me, water fasting was like slow motion, like everything kind of like slows way down and you know, your senses are very slow. You talk slow, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I think, like, a lot of people are into like drugs, psychedelics. I'm like, juice fasting, that's like the most powerful psychedelic right there.
Oh my God, it is so psychedelic.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah,
Um,
I highly recommend because I used to do psychedelics when I was in my 20s. I was into like
oh, right.
LSD and mushrooms and stuff. And I would say that juice fasting is probably better than any of that.
Absolutely. Have you had any like blood tests done, or are you into that? Like,
I've never had a reason to have a blood test done.
right.
So I have never experienced a health issue that led me to need to do blood work to see what was going on. So I'm very blessed in that way.
Mm-hmm.
I was vegan for about 15 years, from teenage through to about 30. And I never took a single supplement. I was just a ethical vegan kid who decided I was not going to eat animal products anymore. And I didn't take any B12. I didn't take any vitamin D3 or anything. And I went 15 years. I never experienced a health issue that would have led me to a blood test during that time. And when I went raw, I never felt like I needed to see blood work. But, you know, being a health coach and someone who is a raw vegan coach, I really do recommend people take care of themselves. If they feel like they need to have a blood test, do it. There's nothing wrong with it. The problem with blood tests, though, is who is going to read the blood test and interpret the data and give you feedback as to a proper protocol to fix an issue if there is one. A general Western doctor is not educated in health or healing at all. They have no training, zero. And if you go to a naturopath, most naturopaths are really in the same boat. They are not trained in modalities of health. Most naturopaths, I mean, maybe there are exceptions, but most are traditional and are going to say you need to eat meat to be healthy, you know.
Right.
And so who's going to interpret your blood test? That's the big question. If we give our power away to doctors, we are putting ourselves in a very vulnerable position. In my experience, we need to claim our own authority. There is no authority outside of ourselves, because the institutions that give credentials like PhDs and certifications and all of these credentials that people believe in are just made up. We're all making it up, okay? Yeah. The only people that claim authority in life are people that simply make it up. So you and I can make it up. We can be our own authority too, which means we are smart enough and connected enough with ourselves to intuit what we need. Get a blood test, read it yourself and figure it out yourself, you know. Be very careful whose opinion you seek around health. I personally, and this just goes for me, everybody has their own opinion, but as far as I'm concerned, there is no medical authority greater than myself for my own body and my own health. And I do not look outside of myself for medical advice or health advice at all, period, zero.
100%. I'm going to pause real quick. One second.
Yeah, that's
all right. So no B12, no iodine. You don't supplement anything.
Well, now I will take a B12 and an iodine just because. Why not? I'm just not concerned about whether I need to or not. I just do because I probably should. I know that our soils are deficient in cobalt, which is how the bacteria synthesize B12. People say that only animals make B12. It's just the silliest thing. Bacteria synthesize B12 from the minerals, cobalt, namely. So if our soil is deficient in cobalt, we're not going to have B12. Same with iodine. Our soil is deficient in iodine. So those are the two that I do. And that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Do you like to eat seaweed?
Yes. I love seaweed. So I don't really look to seaweed as a supplement for iodine. Iodine's volatile. It's probably not even in seaweed in adequate quantities.
Yeah.
So that's why supplementing with iodine, I think, is a better strategy than seaweed alone. But seaweed in general is delicious and awesome. So I eat seaweed because it's good.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they say like the iodine in seaweed is very minimal. It's like not enough to meet our requirements.
Exactly. So, you know, if we can get our nutrients from whole foods, obviously, but that's where, you know, a little bit of experience and education around raw food and what we need can come in handy. But I think we pick up on it over time, and people enter a raw vegan diet so concerned. I mean, can't tell you how many questions I get about supplements. Hundreds and hundreds of questions a month come in about supplements? Is it dangerous? Can I do this? Should I do that? And it's just not an issue. It's really a non-issue, at first, in my opinion.
Mhm.
I've heard experiences where people have had B12 deficiencies and stuff, but if we live in fear of that kind of stuff, it's just futile. Hold the vision, not the circumstance. The vision is going to get us there. Worrying about the details of how to supplement and all that is just, the details, and we'll figure it out as we go. As long as our vision is on point and we're locked in, everything else will work itself out.
Yeah, a lot of times like the stress about the thing is causing more damage than the actual thing itself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
What's the hardest thing about being raw?
Hardest thing about being raw is the emotional responsibility that it brings us face to face with.
Yeah.
I'd say that if we're not numbing out to cook food, we are face to face with our own stuff, our fears, our emotional traumas, our baggage, our shadow. And so we're going to face it. We're going to face our shadow. I think it's a good thing. I think it's a blessing. I think we've got to do it. I think that's why going raw vegan helps us face our fears, helps us have breakthroughs, and helps us lead us to our path of purpose and meaning and legacy work and destiny on this planet. And God knows we need more people to step into their destiny and legacy work, especially men who are so conditioned to be in this dominator culture and this, like the herding culture, and that we have to dominate animals to be men. Is just so toxic. So that's the hardest part, is really facing our fears and taking responsibility emotionally for how to be a truly powerful spiritual human being, and man especially. Men have so much fear. I experience it a lot in my line of work, how much fear men have that we're going to be, feminine or girly if we eat a plant-based diet. And it's just, it holds us back so desperately. So I'd say that's the hardest part, is facing what fear do we have. One guy might say, well, I don't want to be effeminate if I'm going to go plant-based. And another person's fear, well, I don't want to break my family tradition. A lot of cultures have traditions passed down, recipes passed down from grandmother to mother to daughter. That is facing our fears too. If we're going to be lineage, if we're not going to be lineage bearers, if we're going to break the cycles of lineage trauma that are passed down from generation to generation, how are we going to do that? How are we going to truly break the lineage that holds us back for real? Well, a raw vegan diet is absolutely essential in that process of becoming spiritually sovereign, masterful of our own emotional well-being. And that is not for the weak minded. That takes a lot of responsibility, and it takes facing our fears, and it takes standing up for being better. And so that can feel hard at first, but if we just say yes to the journey, it's like being called on the hero's journey. In every hero's mythology, the hero is reluctant to go on the journey. The hero is flawed, reluctant, unqualified. Like, who, me? I'm not qualified to go on this hero's journey. But all we have to do is say yes. If we just say yes to the hero's journey, we don't have to know what's going to happen, how our destiny is going to unfold, what our transformation is going to be. We just commit to the journey every day. It'll lead us down the path. That's the hardest part, is just committing every day.
Yeah, and that's it's funny because we were talking earlier about the masculinity, and this diet really does expose you to your emotions, and honestly, like, feeling your emotions is masculine. That is like the definition. Like, that's the most like fearful thing you can, facing your fears, literally, and that's a masculine thing to do for sure. What's the easiest thing about being raw?
The easiest thing about being raw. The easiest thing about being raw is I would say is the incredible clarity and energy that you get from it. I mean, there's no denying that when you eat raw food, you feel different, you feel better. You got to make it past a little detox. You got to make it past some getting your gut adjusted. The gut microbiome has to adapt. But once you get there, wow. I mean, it feels incredible. There's no going back. I mean, it's hard to, it's interesting because the human the human like personality is such that when we're really feeling good, we do all this work to get ourselves healthy and on point. We're exercising, we're eating right, and then we feel good and we're like, oh, I feel so good. Yeah, let me have a little cheat day. Oh yeah, let me have a night out drinking with my friends. I'm feeling good. And then that snowballs and we're right back where we started. We're so quick to take it for granted how good we feel when we invest in ourselves. And so the easiest part is getting there, feeling good, but it's so easy to lose it too. It's really easy to lose it. So
Yeah,
I think we just have to be aware of that and not take it for granted. Good we are going to feel on a raw vegan diet.
definitely. And just a few like quick questions, I guess. What's your favorite fruit?
Ooh, favorite fruit, papaya.
Oh, okay. Favorite vegetable?
Favorite vegetable would probably be tender lettuces. Like really good homegrown lettuces are pretty mind-blowing when they're good.
Yeah. Fork or spoon?
I would say when I was a cooked vegan, I was really into spoons.
Yeah.
But as a raw vegan, I'm into forks.
Interesting. Okay. Beach or jungle?
Ooh, jungle.
Jungle. Okay. And yeah, like what advice could you give to people who get cooked food cravings on a raw food diet?
Well, this is part of my work. I talk about it every day, pretty much. I coach people through this process. It's not complicated. It's really simple. You have to address the gut microbiome. So in my group, Raw Vegan Heroes, I support people with this process. I'm actually just finishing up a 38-part video series. It's a course on how to go from a non-vegan to a raw vegan. It's called the Raw Vegan Heroes Success Path video course. It's an extensive video course on the process of transitioning through the stages from non-vegan to raw vegan hero is what I call the final stage. And the gut microbiome transition is a major component that I cover at different stages of the journey to become a raw vegan hero. So I cover all of this in my video course, which is free for people who are members. For only $14.99 a month, you get access to this 38-part video course. You can watch it at your leisure. It's a follow along style training series. So that's an incredible thing. I've been working on it for over a year, and I'm literally just finishing it up right now. And I've built this amazing, successful community, Raw Vegan Heroes, without this success path course. But now I'm finally finishing it up, and it's going to be available just in the next couple of days. I'm actually uploading it right now into the group. So what I talk about, though, in that video series is addressing the gut microbiome, transitioning the gut microbiome, because 98% or 95% of the DNA in our body is not even human. It's microbial. We have adapted to these microbial, these microbes and bacteria that coexist with us for billions of years. Okay, so if they are adapted to eating meat and processed starches and cooked oils, what's going to happen when we stop eating these foods? They are going to scream out, I want more, I want more. And so the craving is really just simply the bacteria in our gut.
Yep.
By the time we adapt to a raw vegan diet, we've been raw for 10 months, we do a juice fast, clean the gut out, reset that bacteria, rebuild the gut on raw foods, whole fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Then the bacteria aren't there screaming out, for those foods. So it's really about adjusting all that DNA in our body, getting it to a healthy bacterial balance, beneficial bacteria, ally bacteria that work with our bodies to create alkalinity in our body, not acidosis. If our body's filled with all that waste and junk, that's why we get overgrowth of bacteria and yeast and fungus and molds in our body, because those microorganisms are the cleanup crew. They've got to clean up all that undigested food, all that acidosis waste in the interstitial fluids and in the lymph system. So it's really about cleaning out the gut, getting the bacteria adjusted, and then we feel good and we don't have cravings. I mean, I'll always have a visceral response to like a gooey cheese pizza commercial on TV. I'm human. We all, there's a reality to food that, yeah, gooey cheese pizza seems appealing to the like primal brain of the human,
Right.
but we just want to be smarter about it. If we don't give in to that food, if we don't eat that kind of food, we're not going to really crave it, not in our body. We won't have a visceral, gut, hormonal, bacterial response to that food. And that's freedom. Once we get past that stage and we're not having physical responses to food, we can craft our life. We can make choices that empower us, and we can just commit every day to a choice that creates well-being in our sacred temple, because this is our temple that is a divine vehicle of transformation.
I
If we're
like
going to
to,
be, yeah,
sorry. I like to always think like, oh, how will I feel tomorrow if I eat it? And that really helped me. And it's cool. I saw you with John Kohler on your Instagram, and he inspired me a lot to research about the gut microbiome and the importance of eating like a variety of different fruits and vegetables, not just like eating, just bananas or, stuff like that. So that's cool.
absolutely. Yeah. John he's a nutritarian, which is
Yeah.
a wide variety of nutrient dense foods, and I am big on that. I adopted that philosophy early on in my raw vegan diet, and I attribute that to part of my success, that I never was called to the all fruitarian style where I'm really just trying to live on big, smoothies like 30 bananas a day. It just doesn't make sense to me. I like superfoods. I think, yeah, let's get a variety of nutrients and nutrition in the body so our body has all the building blocks it needs to maintain body composition and, good mental function, good hormonal function. So I consider myself to be a nutritarian as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's all the questions I have. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I just encourage people, if you're called on a raw vegan diet, if you've made it this far in this interview too, congratulations for being interested in a raw vegan diet. It's cool. You are standing at the threshold of maybe one of the most powerful things you could possibly do in your life. And I would say, trust yourself and go for it. And if we are called, if we feel the call to go raw at some point in our life and we don't listen, life will get painful and out of alignment. The more out of alignment we are, the more health problems we have, the more depressed we get, the more our work and our job is stressful. But look, if we just listen to our intuition, our higher guidance, and our destiny calling us to align, the raw vegan diet, if that's your calling, is going to lead you to harmonics in your life that is going to transform everything for you. You'll make more money. You'll find a career, a path of making money that serves people, makes a difference, contributes and serves you at the same time. We're talking like 5D consciousness, abundance consciousness, where everybody can do the work that they're designed to do and love and thrive at the same time, and aligning our actions and our values, leaving a legacy, service work, paying it forward to others, having exceptional relationships, healed trauma in our family lineage, financial abundance. That's what we're talking about. Ascension, light, new light codes anchoring into the earth. So if we're called to a raw vegan diet, that's what we're doing, and so you can't not listen. Life is going to get painful. So that's all, that's my message. That's my parting message. If you're called, this is your path, you might have resistance, but at some point you're going to have to listen and go for it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Shane. Don't leave yet, but I'm going to stop recording.
Okay.
Okay. So thank you guys so much for watching. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed and subscribe for more. I'll see you guys next time.